The very stuff of the dust and the musty old rhymes as the day gives way to the night's confines. Ghosts are the drums, marching to the beat of a fine wine. Echolocate, bred to the bone, dyed in the wool. Take these wings and crawl back home to the oldest school in the greater unknown. Shaking the freak, looking for proof, looking for peace. A search for the truth. Pinch into zoom, I want mine neat. A bird's eye view and nosebleed seat. A cemetery phase, past the casket, please. We're going where the buried love still lays, where the handwriting is in the air. Everywhere you go up there. At any rate, echolocate. Something worse than death for the living lies in wait. A curtain made of lace that has now gone to seed. Somewhere lost in inner space, fame just flits like a centipede, fighting to howl for something to say, often taking up with the enemy the very stuff of dust and rhyme. As the day gives way to wasted time and finger-made music of the fugitive kind, axiomatic in a river of static, lifted from local to global obscurity for just having stood there for all of eternity. Grinding down, I have died to these sounds, fanning these ears with tales of spite, rolling on through with my nose to the night. Frying in the spirit mist, flocks are barely faring from the tresses of these hills are we, dandled in the cradle of the deeper silent sea. Oh, how I shudder to soar. I hope there's some left. I want to do more. Standing in the fire next to everything for hire, confined to the night, spending all of my seasons doing all the wrong things for all the right reasons. I'm blue in the face for the cause, the whole wide zero wrapped in gauze. All of my sorrows are shadows, the methods of every time and climb, chasing the ghosts of different tomorrows. I'm slowly leaving it all behind as the darkness looms. It certainly rises at the end of the day. It comes in all sizes, a grim and sordid patchwork of revolutionary ardor, all through the night in waters uncharted. This never-evolving freedom, dripping off the beaten path. If I lose my future now, I may never make it back. With every bit of caution and decorum to the wind. They belong to harm, and I belong to them, long before wrong with wings. To death be we ashamed, the wood will hold its history. Which victor do we blame? When no two dooms are quite the same, no mast on the make, we can't be exposed. To break for the sake of the rose, to hate like it's fake and know that it shows, a dash of death and dour days, by the grace of any maze, sinking back to earth, in the cradle of violet flame, by the path of the camel, at the end of the vision, what's left of my sandals is still on a mission, somehow standing small, not like a human at all, with the meat of my efforts refusing to live. I can push all I want, but I'm not going to give. I need to anonymize. And as it occurs, one day it will rise, a swagger that matters, with music in its eyes. I beg to forgive as I bleed to forget. I'm lost in the frost of a charlatan's web. My place is in the shadows, on a wheel bound in pain, from the dark side of the saddle, I wander in the rain. I've let it all go just to be what I know, whether coiled in the sand or boiled on the road. Too much salt to understand. This kind of past is terminal, sounding off for decades deep. A demon that sometimes proves to be a little more human than me, and different by degree than anything I've seen. An all too ready roughness with the public and routine, coming and going, and both with a bang. You can't kill a man that was born to hang, and we, the bloody difference, are only we who take the risk. We chase the glowing hours in search of something more than this. If I whistle as I weep for what I know is true, in a jungle neath the stars and streets, my only me is you, and the myrtle wreathes a sword with flowers at its feet. Where youth and pleasure met, you and I will ever meet. The herders come down from the hills, too orbric to flex. Their mouths are devout, the plenum of proof. A gossip of flames sorting things out. In the clouds above my head, genuflectively spotlight blue to downlight red. Gathering to scatter, alms for songs, who barely get along. My mistress is the madness whose memory is gone, dropped like a mist about the night from the forested heart of the other side. An arrow barbed with fire, moon-kissed by the barrenness and the bickering sparkles dire. Outwardly to the windy bottom of the sea, where the mountain laurel leans, the bookstore is now a parking lot of used make-believe. I am a student of fear. It lumbers in my bones, like the blood in my beer. To the sound of quarter tones, two hidden echoes, looking for the one. I want to swoon along the moon with you and run. The measures of all and the meanings of none, beams of chromium dreams for the life of one's imagination, to lift the pains of sleep and write what's left of thee. An empress of a world that lies in wait as puss leaves her boots at the foot of his grave. She seems to have punched her way out of the way, restlessly vivid, with a pinch of the manic. Across the Atlantic, understanding art's internal voyage, sheer external traces from the hearts of every village. Seen from the eyes of the fairy tree, the corpse and its candle, struggling to find the end of everything. On the eve of ever making us bleed for just being clever, lost in the confines given to just being taken every time. The dead and the damned of every shade, these dying embers of the grave, rows of couples coupling away. We underlings so alive, we strain and strive and we agonize, a Venusian dream with saturnine eyes, the glassy stare of love, conjuring and wandering in a concert of light. You are my assassin in the middle of the night. I will not be sanded down or left in love obscured by clowns, letting go. A music built on skeletons dancing barefoot in the snow, shirtless and daft. Come put your spine to my fingers. Do the numbers, the scent of you lingers. While we're both still wide awake, elusive now, but maybe one day, in an odd location, it will have always been this way. Running out of patience. Braided we be, yet cleaved like a wooden house wrapped in brick. The fall is always family. Wake up and smell the music. Vamping on the trampoline, I do intend to spend my pen. Let me get my tambourine. Stuck inside a childhood vision of real-life TV quicksand. But we must act fast. We can lose every battle along the way, except the last. in an odd location. Seeking love forever, no more let life divide what death can join together. The disarming of our charm and gloom. If you can't look like this is killing you, would you please just leave the room? In this newer age, if you're looking for me, I'll be in my cage. Revolving cycles of tears and fears, rolling steady for quintillions of years. It's a death rattle hype that ruptures the night. All these years of tears and blackened eyes. Bless me, Father, for I have cried. Nourished by the rustle of reveries. Here among the ruins of the templings, with the bodies of rubble and the makers of dreams, work to the bones like living machines. Off to the horizon together, inheritors of the greater labor, though most of the coast is clear. If you don't know both, you don't know either. It's freedom coming down from above, worn like a handcuff to save what it loves. It's a pretty rough trade for the ready-made. Who might have made a better movie on a different kind of day? To the dance of the sandhill wonder, the cream of all machines, a love as loud as thunder comes creeping through the seams. A lifetime worth of moments in a single tangerine. With these emblems of the muse and with the music like a noose, taken for granted, brief and then bleak, a vegetable manic. The glassy stir of water meets the sand, where the politics and diabetes go out, walking hand in hand. Two glowworms in the grotto, hidden in the heartland. Born and raised in the woods on Clem, a ravisher and devourer, on a mission to the mission. Demolished by flowers over the hills and through the hours. Fire-breathing eyes might just arrive and rise again on my daily wallow through the boonies of the loony bin. I can sense that I'm in danger over here, so near the end. Love bombed in my cosmonauticals with day-glow teepee fingers. Let us touch and let us twist, fair and free of what it is. More cumbersome than a graveyard sale, the sound dog is certainly on my trail. There is no safety on this side of the grave. Every gulf and every gloom is headed my way. Broken by the blazing million hues of solitude. In spite of what we say, we're made of what we do. In the groves and in the dells, I hear the sound of fractured bells. The wonder of the wisdom, the wisp on the wing. I gaze into the fading embers hidden in the heart of almost everything. Within the shambles of the trail, drowning out this world of mine, taken by the present. The king may fall, but the kingdom's fine. It's every noise for itself, in a secret place between the stairs, where the head is full of Mercury's dew, and the locks with drops of the autumn air, so odd-eyed and disheveled. The bride wore glass as she danced with the devil, a dreadfully dirty brush with love, now sovereign of the worms, for having run amok from stem to stern, a lexical derailment, in one eye and out of turn. The love that knows too much is the love that's gonna burn, too sensitive to touch. We live and die and learn in red and rayless clouds of smoke, the brick and mortar by design, this conniption fit of a life of mine. I'm a shame feeler here in the dark, taking the snake and wearing it there. I need more nothing to go with my art. East of the week we used to share, squared in full legion, bound on a voyage obscure, a broad and ample road of regions of preferred, powdered with stars. When you listen with the wind, it's not the arrow, it's the Indian, resold more than once, and to be resold again, driven from joy to wonder, colliding on every side, an unfounded, wandering thunder. The very elations of creation's eye, taking the snake and flying it high. We all have our curses, and some like to sing, welcome to nothing, the new everything. It's in the arc of the bark, the kind of tree that can see in the dark. I'm so in love with anything, I'm throwing away the skin before it happens again. I've seen the skull that lies within the very flesh of the grave. Let me crackle and drag before it's too late. From the news of you, no day is safe. It's in the arc of the bark, all over the place. Looking with my hooks for something to love, boneyard scars and all. Loved or hated, eerie, and the aging oddball. Mostly hated and loving it. It's just too easy being the monster in a world of the night, surrounded by clowns and meteorites. A keeper of the continuity, found at the ear of Eve, where not all oblivion is created equally. The seed of a chance, the skin of the night. Too ugly to dance, too lazy to write, too rattled to run, too driven to drive. This is harmony and me in a sea of trees. My only mistress is a memory, and it's slipping. Oh, awful loveliness, dearer for the mystery than the music in my head. These, my records, these vain endeavors, like darkness to a dying name. Deport not, as thy shadow came. Deport not, lest the grave should be like life and fear were you and me. And do beware, it's a dungeon up there. Who do we send in search of the world? Oh, awful loveliness, how soon the high would be too late. Floating through the forest of the night, I'm nervous for the execution of the purpose, and I'm wrecked, a dance of breathless rapture. Everywhere I go, a rebel without effect. I find the time, my darkest hour is all that's left, for nothing but the misery is mine. The sweet persuasions of the grave as the rain beats down on the rebel's face, forlorn, and to the hills of storms. Hemmed in as I am, I'm worn, a pillow of dust on a blanket of sand. I'm roughage, the livid spoils of waste, when the eloquence begins, where the last of the minstrels lay, by the way of the tongueless winds, in a graveyard for the brave, lifted through the literature, if just to write another day. The way to be is the way we were. Composed against the clock, and partly in a coach, a psychic state of shock that's led me down this troubled road. Every danger and delight from the gutter to the gods. The witching arts of love and light, a cornucopic hodgepodge. The deep is quite enough, when all that's left to live is love. And that, my dear, we're so contagiously convicted of. I've dared to be poor more than ever before, and to tell you the truth is a bore. In the sad aftermath of all that's left in my head, how ready and deep is the sleep of the dead. I lull my agitated blood to rest and let it go with a song that's soft and somewhat furious. Down the road and from the top of the windy peak ahead, how heavy and deep is the sleep of the dead. The eyes of night are burrowing in my head, scouting far and wide and burning bright, the blackest insurrections to confound the purest light. A rodeo mystic tagging along surprised, embalmed in the calm of a meaningful demise. Across the snow to nowhere, safe at dawn, loping along in a pitiful song. Dreaming of a place with some heavy goings-on, nigh foundered and gone, I feared. Half on foot, half in the air, I stare as if to save something on this sea of ice. Nothing quite compares. It's like death crawling back to life. She rides astride. The essence of resource only hidden by the light, pulling back off the beat just to keep it alive. Burning bridges, mending fences. She rides astride. I've been knocked senseless. A crawler with wings, stripped of defenses, a fire in the forest. By the hour, down on the naked facts, dying to burn, everything blooms from being devoured. Up the river I went, like a lightning in reverse, and everything soured. A surge as thick as the stars who got there first. Like none I've ever felt. Time is an insult, whose other self is hell. Bend down your eye to the sound of the bell. From the bare outside of night, the ear will not be slow, although the dark may see the light descending on a sunbeam. Bend down your eye. Watch over me with celestial equipage. Find all the signs of sweet remorse in a wide and wasted village, sharing a single tired horse. The glory sculpture's graven with less than nothing left to lose. I pray I may begin my world anew, so feathered soon and fledge, just to soar the air sublime beside a shady rivulet along the other side of time. High in the expanses, invariably serene, on a lifetime-long diversion of suspended disbelief. My head is in the woodshed, where my fate's been cast to deep. My heart has left the room a mess. How soon the sun will set indeed. Unpitied, unreprieved, I am not legion or disease. I am of nowhere. Beware of me. A parlor trick marooned like a heart through a stake. The sacred trust of was, after one has become only all he can take. The usual subliminal in a hag-ridden box of earth and snakes. Growing weary of only watching, I nudge myself to listen. You always seem to mark the spot, the one that I keep missing. Peace and the promise of the terror thrust upon a man that looks like he's not even there. A star burns out tonight, and somewhere death is just as great as even life. Forbidden love lies within at last, an older dream that everything ever captured in a crime scene photograph. Dying of devotion, growing tired of the pain, eaten away by the sun and the shame. My secretest of sorrows, scripted all to pieces and left out in the rain, slowly seeping down the failing wall, where on its crest sits music, plumed with a love that could have saved us all. But it's death by yes, I guess, an undo coming undone, knowing. My demonomania is a giver of oblivion, and the wrecks of my misfortune, my legacy lies elsewhere. Looking for the end before I even get there, I side with warring winds and the fray by which they reign. Bursting forth afresh, the nether shapes of primal flame, a voyage of discovery to a transitory peace, where I can conjure you with confidence and real sincerity. From the spoils of the start to whatever else is left, how steady and deep is the sleep of the dead. Take me back to where the wild things are, back below the belt, beneath the stars. There is a tone to solitude, where I am least alone with a love, within myself to wage that chills me to the bone. An astonishing combination of the motives and all the incidents. I scarcely can accuse myself of personal intrusions. Breathless with suspense, my startling catastrophe to be, and from whence. Taught to fear myself in spite of me. The deep is quite enough, when all that's left to live is love, and that we're so contagiously convicted of. In the sad aftermath of all that's left in my head, how heavy and deep is the sleep of the dead. To solace together the woods of my heart, spangling the hemisphere, the star-goat weeps for too long apart, broken down deep, shivering around the cooler reaches of the dark. Licked on the sickness, I have slept in blood for weeks, deeply and dearly amiss. From arches to eyebrows, I'm swimming in it now, abreast of the times with a bang. In this head of pain, this empty bed of nails, with fangs ascending, while the north wind sleeps through hazards huge and wild extremes. Frozen by the facts, whither should I bend my steps? Or might I just relax? Grazing in the valley of death, the emptiness must be perfect until nothing is left. I am of nowhere. My name is Jef.